Morning, chaps. Oh wait, I'm not doing the ring anymore, am I? Sorry, let's try that again. Howdy, folks. How about another episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly in World of Tanks? It has been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, let's have an episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. We're starting off today with a Circumflex's replay. Now, he's in the M41 Walker Bulldog. He hasn't been having a particularly spectacular game so far, although he's been doing alright. The teams appear to be fairly evenly matched. He's managed to get one kill so far, but that T-30's looking like a very, very likely victim. Or would have been, if he hadn't spotted the opportunity to delete a T-25/2, so that's his second kill of this match. The T-30 now appears to have completely run out of friends. Oh, hello, what's going on back here? No, that T-30 is looking very hungrily at Circumflex's Walker Bulldog, but that's good because while he's looking at Circumflex's, he's not looking at the other enemy tanks that are coming over the hill in front of him. And it is in fact artillery that finishes him off. So, once again, the team are actually doing alright. The scores are 10-8, and just for a change, they're not actually strung out all over the map. They're in relatively mutually supporting positions, although artillery appears to be in danger. And somebody is pinging the map to at least attempt to draw their attention away from their top-down view to the trouble that they're in. Although, to be completely fair to friendly artillery, it might be a little late for that, given what's on the ridge opposite them. But Circumflexes appears to have had the same idea himself, because there's nothing standing between him, as far as he's aware, and the enemy artillery. So, down the hill he trots. Let's see if we can bag ourselves some arty. You know where they're going to be, of course, in the woods down there. Yep, pretty much as predicted, and yep, he doesn't appear to have the faintest idea of the trouble that he was in until it was far too late. So Circon bags himself his first arty kill. Now he got spotted, of course, so he's taken a circumspect route back into concealment. But nobody appears to be shooting at him, so it's highly likely that there's nobody down there but the enemy artillery. Oh well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. There's still another one of them, almost certainly in more or less the same location. Let's go and have a look. Yep, there he is. This one, however, was paying attention, and he tries for the shotgun, but yeah, well, at least he was paying attention. Circumflex's team is now winning 12 kills to 10, but that doesn't last long because his artillery was paying about as much attention as the enemy artillery was. And so they've all been slaughtered, followed in very short order by yet another tank. It's now 3 against 3. Circumflex is attempting to even the odds with what would have been a killing hit if it had actually struck that AMX 1390, but it was a long-range shot at a very small, fast-moving target. It would have been pretty miraculous if it had hit. His team have just lost another one. There's just Circumflexes and a Scorpion remaining, and the Scorpion is probably not going to last much longer. And sure enough, it's now Circumflexes alone against 3 enemy tanks. He only has 611 health remaining, and the 3 enemy tanks surviving are responsible for slaughtering 2/3 of his team between them. He does not take the shot at the Progetto, because that would give his position away. And it wouldn't kill the Progetto, and the Progetto obviously has 6th sense, knows he was spotted, and has ducked back over the hill. I have absolutely no doubt at this precise moment that the Progetto is busy telling the rest of his teammates, I was spotted, he's over here. So what's he going to do? Well, if they think they know where you are, and you can move from that position without being spotted, move from that position. That's exactly what he's doing here. And he's going to be trying to use as much double bush concealment as he possibly can to get shots off without being spotted. Fires at the AMX, very unlucky to not kill him. Unfortunately, while under ideal circumstances you want to fire without being spotted, sometimes the enemy team has a thing or two to say about that, and you have to fight them under less than ideal circumstances. Now the Progetto was heading for where he thought Circumflexes was, so thanks to relocating, Circon was able to get the first shot into him more or less for free, but it's going to take 4 shots to kill that guy, while being shot at by the AMX 1390. So he parks behind the farmhouse, finishes off the Progetto. It took 4 shots, and thanks to his skillful driving, he only took 1 hit in return. Well, thanks to his skillful driving and the AMX 1390's terrible marksmanship, he only took 1 shot in return. He's got another opportunity to finish off the AMX and level the scores, and he fluffs it. And, oh crap, player 3 has just joined the match, and has in fact hit him. And he's damaged his ammo rack, and we can't have that, so he burns his repair kit. Meanwhile, the AMX 1390 still hasn't landed a hit, and has to be running out of ammunition soon, and while he'd love to chase him down, he does have this ELC to deal with. He's finally scored a hit on this guy. His tracks eat the return shot. Got to make this one count. Stops to aim, got him, and was able to stop an aim because he kept the farmhouse once again between himself and the 1390, who continues to expend his very limited ammunition load into the ground. Circumflexus fluffs his third shot at the 1390, but he's now clearly reloading, so he can afford to take his time and finish off the kill. 3 enemy tanks, who between them were responsible for the destruction of 10 of Circumflex's teammates, and who right now probably wishing they tried to cap instead. The next star of today's show is the IS Fanatic, seen here in his IS-3. A very, very good tank, although he probably doesn't like it quite as much as he's going to, because that is definitely not the top gun, the BL-9. Unless I'm very much mistaken. And let's be honest here, if I am, it's not going to be the first time. Judging by the shape of the muzzle brake at the end of the gun barrel, that is one of the other 2 122mm guns available on this tank, either the D25T or the D25T, both of which only have 175mm of penetration. Terrible accuracy and a really slow reload. I don't know why I'm mentioning all of these stats to you, because the gun that he has equipped on his tank has absolutely nothing to do with what you're about to see in this replay. This replay is all about, well, how can we put this? You know those times when you're just minding your own business, driving around in your IS-3, you turn a corner and suddenly, holy shit, you've run into the entire enemy team. Usually when we say things like that, we're exaggerating. I mean, turning around a corner and running into 7 enemy tanks, it may feel like the entire enemy team, and it's certainly bad enough, but it's not actually the entire enemy team. When we say things like, yeah, there were only 3 of us and we had to fight the entire enemy team off, it's usually stretching the truth just a little. Usually. But not today. Oh, and this is a tier 9 battle, by the way. I just thought I'd put that out there. So there's our first 2 enemies. Our first 3 enemies. Although technically a couple of enemy tanks have been spotted over in the centre of the map. There's our first 4 enemies. Centurion Action X is going for it, which is very, very brave of him. But he's actually doing quite well. How many enemy tanks are around the corner now? I suppose in the interests of full disclosure, I say we came around the corner, there were only 3 of us, and we had to fight the entire enemy team, and you probably noticed that there are, in fact, 4 of us. Although, the 53 TP, he's just managed to kill the enemy Pantera, but he's going to be next. So at this point, there are only 3 of them. And they are, even though they don't know it yet, fighting the entire enemy team. You can't see them all, but they are there. This is a classic lemming train. People often say lemming trains aren't a bad thing. You know, if the entire team goes in one direction, then you're going to massively outnumber everything that you run into. Well, yeah, but you see, what you're describing there is an armoured push, an armoured assault. It's not the same thing as a lemming train. A lemming train is anything up to 15 individuals who all go the same way, spot one enemy tank, shit their pants, and then hide behind the nearest rock for the rest of the game. That's what you're seeing here. It's the difference, you see. Hang on a minute, Jingles, you're still exaggerating. It's not the entire enemy team. There was a Walker Bulldog and a Standard B spotted in the centre of the map. Yeah, they were spotted in the centre of the map, but have a look at the last known position markers of the enemy tanks. They've now been spotted over here. They drove into the middle, saw one Leopard prototype, shat their pants and ran over here to join the rest of their team. All 15 enemy tanks are now right in front of us. In fact, if you wait a second, there he is. There's the Walker Bulldog. Hello! Coming over here didn't do you much good, did it? That is the entire enemy team. And what's remarkable is that of the 4 friendly tanks that came around the corner and ended up face to face with this lot, 3 of them are still alive. Between the 15 of them, The enemy team have only managed to kill that 53 TP who came around the corner and died earlier. Despite the concentrated attention of the entire enemy team, including 2 artillery, these guys are all still alive. And they're slaughtering. Well, they're caught in a crossfire now, aren't they? The rest of the team have finally figured out, oh, they are all over there. They've swung around behind them. Now, to be completely fair to the enemy team, the 15 of them, including their 5 tier 9s, do eventually manage to kill more than one of the 4 tier 8 tanks that have cock-blocked them so effectively for the entire duration of this match. There we go. The IS Fanatic, in his not fully upgraded IS-3, did finally succumb to the concentrated attention of 15 enemy tanks on that corner. So well done to them. But they're not going to finish off the other 2 tier 8 heavies. Oh no. That's almost as good as it gets for the enemy team. There's their 3rd and final kill. But hey, look on the bright side. The IS Fanatic is now able to say, without the slightest hint of exaggeration, that he was just casually driving along in his IS-3, minding his own business when he turned around a corner and found himself face to face with the entire enemy team. And he won. So, how do you follow that? How about a bit of French solidarity? This is Captain Rusty from the Reddit clan in the very capable French Tier 8 premium tank, the FCM50T. Captain Rusty likes to play his French tanks just a little bit on the aggressive side. Certainly more aggressively than I'm comfortable with playing my French tanks, but well, it seems to work for him. Well, mostly. Bear in mind, of course, this is an assault battle, so there's a 10-minute time limit. So bearing that time limit in mind, you do kind of have to play aggressively if you're on the attacking team. And he's in a good spot now, but it has cost him half of his health. And he's not alone in this good spot, because there's another sneaky little French bugger sharing the same patch of real estate. The advantage is now with Captain Rusty, though, because his entire team can now shoot at that guy, and oh, well, I was going to say nobody else on the Batchat's team could shoot at Captain Rusty, but it appears that we have yet another sneaky little French bugger camping out and firing undetected from somewhere in the middle of the swamp. And there he is. Well, he's going to get his ticket punched because he's got nowhere to run to and nowhere to hide. And, yep, got the little bugger. Right. Situation appears to be secure. And wait, another French tank. What is going on here? Is it French Tank Day or something? Why did I not get the memo? Well, you did get the memo, Jingles, but it was in French, so you used it to light your pipe. Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyway, finally, position secure. Captain Rusty is now able to put the phenomenally good gun depression of the FCM50T to good use. Now, remember, this is an assault battle, so it only lasts 10 minutes. Pay careful attention to the timer at the top of the screen. There's just under 8 minutes left. Oh, he just bounced one on the turret from, another FCM50T. Well, kill surprise, another French tank. And there's another French tank. It's definitely French Tank Day. There are actually 11, well, there were, I mean, there's a couple less than that now. 11 French tanks in this battle, which is just really bizarre. I mean, I'm not saying that they're unpopular tanks. Some of them are very good tanks. I'm particularly fond of the FCM50T here. And the AMX M449 is a fairly decent tank too, but 11 of them in one game? What the hell's going on? Is it Bastille Day? Did somebody drop the fromage and champignons? Well, anyway. 10-minute battle, because it's assault mode, and we're coming up to more or less the 7-minute mark. And it's at this point where the interesting... Well, interesting isn't maybe the correct word. And there it is. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, that's quite embarrassing, Captain Rusty. Still, it could be worse. Oh, it is worse. The two of you are now stuck there, are you? Well, that's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? How long do you think you're going to be stuck there for, Captain Rusty, and your little French friend? Remember, kids, this happened at the 7-minute mark.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, still here. And now, friendly artillery think they're being funny. Don't worry. They're not actually going to drop a high explosive shell on them. They're just making them think that they're going to drop a high explosive shell on them.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, this is getting really embarrassing now. If only there was another French tank around who could possibly save us. enter the Lorraine 40T. It's worth pointing out at this stage of the battle that the enemy team are well and truly losing, so naturally it's time for artillery to start suiciding. Don't worry, there are more artillery related shenanigans and fun and games to come, although it's possibly not quite going to be as bad as you're expecting. But thanks to the selfless efforts of this Lorraine 40T, the Batchat 12T has been freed, and it looked like he was going to stick around to help, but he's clearly decided, screw that, mon ami, you are on your own, I'm off searching for more kills and damage, and he's pretty much leaving the Lorraine to it, who is going to continue to attempt to extricate Captain Rusty from this horribly embarrassing mess that he got himself into. And while he's doing that, I did promise you some more artillery-related fun and games. Pay attention to the combat messages at the top of the minimap. Note the location of the last surviving enemy tank, the M40 artillery, who's been targeted by the friendly Su-14-2. The Su-14-2 clearly doesn't give a shit that his shell is also going to hit the friendly TVP, which turns the artillery blue, which probably means this isn't the first time he's done this, and reduces the TVP to such low health that an accidental collision with the AMX-49 results in a team kill for the AMX. Isn't artillery great? But what was particularly amusing for me in this battle wasn't the fact that the enemy team managed to lose 15-5 in 6 minutes, and it wasn't the fact that Captain Rusty and the Batchat 12T spent more than half of that 6 minutes on their arses. Well, that's part of it, but the question I ask is this. How shit must the enemy team have been to lose 15-5 in 6 minutes to a team whose highest scoring player, Captain Rusty, spent more than half of the match on his arse? Well, we're not quite done, because I do still have 2 battle replays for you in this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, and this is somebody that I have featured before, although not for a good long time, because, well, for a good long time he actually gave up on playing World of Tanks altogether. But he's back, and I'm glad that he is, because he's one of the best light tank players I think I have ever seen. I am, of course, talking about Mr. Crow. As you can probably guess by his name, he hails from Croatia, although now he lives in Germany, and I've actually met him on a couple of occasions, a couple of times at Tankfest, and once in Frankfurt, where he took me around, showed me the sights of the city, particularly the Christmas market. He is an incredibly nice guy, and I'm always happy to showcase his replays, because generally speaking, if Mr. Crow has sent me a replay, and it's in a light tank, it's going to be good. Now, as for the tank that he's driving, I have to confess, I know nothing about it. It's a new Russian Tier 8 premium light tank, the LT-432. I even had to go and look it up on the wiki to find out what caliber gun it's equipped with. Apparently this is an 85mm gun, and it only does 180 average damage. Remember that number, by the way, because that's going to be quite significant later on. Also, pay attention to the fact that he doesn't even fire this gun for at least the first half of the match. And he doesn't fire the gun because he's busy spotting tanks for his team. None of his team appear to want to actually fire at the tanks that he's spotting, but that's not his fault. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. As you can see, he could be doing damage of his own here, but that's going to give his position away. In fact, watch this. There, he got spotted. Now remember, Sixth Sense doesn't actually go off until 3 seconds after you've been spotted. But he didn't wait, he just knew. I don't know how he knew, but, well, that's what makes him such an exceptionally good light tank player, and me not. Now, the trick here on Prokhorovka, which so many people fail to understand, is that there are 2 important positions on this map. The first is this ridgeline, and the second is the ridge in the centre of the map on the far side of the railway track that runs north-south down the middle of the map. The reason these 2 positions are so important is because they both influence each other. The tanks over on the centre of the map have the perfect opportunity to get flanking shots into enemy tanks as they try to move up this hill. They can't take the opportunity to get those shots off unless they can see them, so you need either somebody up here spotting enemy tanks as they attempt to push the ridge, or somebody up here fighting enemy tanks as they attempt to push the ridge at the same time. You can't really fight the enemy tanks from up here unless you have exceptionally good gun depression and there are no enemy tanks taking flanking shots at you from the centre of the map until it's too late and they've already crested the ridge. In order to make this work, you must have tanks of your own in the centre of the map, over by the railway line, preventing them from getting up and pushing over the ridge. That's why these two positions mutually support each other, and why it's so important to hold, or at least contest, both of them at the same time. Thanks to Mr. Crow's spotting, the friendly tanks in the centre over there were able to keep these enemy tanks pinned down and prevent them from getting over the ridge in time for these guys here to arrive and turn this into a case of not so much spotting the enemy tanks, because they're now so close to the ridge that he's going to get spotted himself, but now it's a case of leaving those guys to fight the enemy tanks and prevent them from getting over that ridge line. And since he's now started to attract the attention of enemy artillery, he's decided that it's time for him to relocate and make himself useful to the team somewhere else. He hasn't completely given up on the idea of spotting those enemy tanks that are currently pinned down on the reverse slope of that ridge, but he can't really do it from up there anymore because they're so close that they're going to proximity detect him, and, well, artillery love shooting at light tanks, don't they? He was lucky to only get stunned by the artillery shot that targeted him earlier. He didn't actually take any damage from it, so he's going to see what he can do from over here. Now, this is a lot more dangerous, and you need to be a lot better at your light tanking to be able to pull off the same thing from over here. If I was doing this, this is the point where I would probably get myself killed. You see, at the moment, the friendly tanks on the ridge up there are only actually able to see the tanks in front of them by cresting the ridge. And that's getting them shot at. Not just from the tanks on the ridge below them, but also from the enemy tanks lurking around the centre of the map, because the team do not fully control the centre of the map, and it's also lighting them up for enemy artillery. Mr. Crow patiently spotting targets and just waiting for somebody to take a shot at them. Not everybody on Mr. Crow's team is quite so patient, however. The T110E5 up there, starting to get very sick of the enemy team taking pot shots at him, and is about to take matters into his own hands. Now, what you're about to see him do isn't necessarily a stupid thing to do. It could work. In fact, if he hadn't been the only one to go for it, it very probably would have worked, because you're only momentarily exposed to a crossfire. Once you're down there with the enemy tanks, you've got the same protection from flanking fire as they do. But the other tanks on top of the ridge with him, as is all too often the case, just kind of sat there, looked at him, and waited for him to die. Mr. Crow firing his gun for the first time in this game, attempting to help out the T110E5, but too little, too late. And, oh, right, they've all actually abandoned the ridge completely, which is going to allow those enemy tanks to get on top of the hill completely uncontested. Right, so with the hill now lost, and it is lost, I mean, it doesn't look like it's lost, there are still friendly tanks up there, but trust me, the hill is now lost. Mr. Crow relocates completely. The match is slightly more than a third over. He's only just fired his gun for the first time, scored 202 damage, and despite the fact that he's had multiple enemy tanks lit up, for the last 5 minutes, only 1,000 spotting and assistance damage. So why is he coming all the way over here? Well, now, the tanks with their arses hanging in the breeze are the ones in the middle. The team were unable to dominate the middle of the map, but they have until now at least been able to contest it. But it's the tanks in the middle that are now going to come under crossfire from both directions. And it's from over here that he's going to be able to do something about it. And it's over here where things are going to start to get really dangerous. But on the bright side, he's finally found some teammates who are prepared to shoot at the targets that he's spotting for them. But, well, tank destroyers, it's what they do. They're probably very grateful to have somebody lighting targets up for them at last. But they're going to have to clean up quick, because pretty much everything now depends on the safety of that Progetto 46 in the centre of the map. That Progetto 46 must survive for as long as possible in order to prevent the enemy team from winning this match. Pretty much everything depends on that one medium tank. They must keep him alive, because they're going to have to go past him to get to all of these guys. Forget the 50 TP on the hill, he's already dead. He sealed his fate when he failed to back up and support the T110E5. Everything now depends on that Progetto 46 and the team's ability to keep him fighting for as long as possible. And it's now that the numbers are starting to go up. Remember, this gun only does 180 damage on average per hit. And while his actual damage done isn't great, and they are still shedding tanks at an alarming rate, providing he can keep spotting targets for these tank destroyers, and providing they're smart enough to let him do the spotting and double bush before they fire, They can still do this. Of course, that's going to rely on the enemy team allowing them to do this. And that M48 pattern appears to have other ideas. So they're going to have to deal with him. Hopefully the Progetto can hang... Actually, no, the situation's changed. Now the Progetto needs to support them. They're all pushing across the field. No, Jagdpanther, don't go up. You'll get caught in a crossfire. Right, okay. Well, no use worrying about the Jagdpanther now. He's dead. That happened very quickly. And the M48 appears to have... well, either he's got a dead loader or he's had his ammo rack damaged. So that was kind of lucky for Mr. Crow. But now it's well and truly on. There's probably not going to be a huge amount of spotting damage done from here on in. The fight is getting to pretty close quarters. And don't forget, his gun only does 180 average damage. But it doesn't do any damage unless you pull the trigger, preferably when it's safe to do so. And, well, this is definitely safe to do so. That's not just double bushed, that's probably quintuple bushed. So, it's the death of 1,000 cuts for the 60 TP over there. Okay, that's taken the immediate pressure off the tank destroyers. The team is still heavily outnumbered, but we're now in what we refer to as a target-poor environment. I mean, there are targets out there, we just can't see them all yet. Oh, somebody's capping, and now they're not. So an enemy tank just gave the game away by crossing through the cap circle, and an enemy Progetto 46 has just been spotted in the centre of the map. Now, he certainly wasn't the tank that crossed the cap circle, so there is another one down there somewhere. And Mr. Crow doesn't really want these tank destroyers to be spotting their own targets, because that's not what tank destroyers are for. So he's rushing south as quickly as he possibly can. In the meantime, the friendly Progetto 46 is attempting to... and it's a T10. He's spotted him, unfortunately. It's gotten him killed by an enemy ISU. You know what, we have to take some time out here, I think, to give some credit to that Progetto 46, because even though he doesn't have any kills, he has played a very good game. This match would probably be over by now if not for him. But now he's dead. He tried. From here on in, it's pretty much down to Mr. Crow. But, well, he's in the right tank for it. I just hope nothing pops up at the north end of the map. Now he's all the way down here, because he's good, but he can't be in two places at once. Where's that there's the T10. Did he get proxy spotted? Oh, artillery. Artillery. The T10's backing up. He's proximity detected the artillery. The artillery isn't moving. I think we can kiss goodbye to the artillery. Yeah. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The sharks are circling now. They can smell the blood in the water. Mr. Crow must find targets for those two surviving tank destroyers. The problem here, of course, is that every tank on the enemy team have their guns loaded and they're just waiting for the first hint of something to shoot at along this road. Now, while you definitely don't want that person to be you, if you're in a light tank, you probably want it to be your two tank destroyers, even less. Ah, there they are. Yeah. Oh well. The tank destroyers are going to have to expose themselves to shoot at these guys, but Mr. Crow, from this position, has got flanking shots, and he's double bushed. There's one kill. Pops forward, reacquires the target, pulls back, double bushed. Gun does not do a lot of damage, but if you fire it often enough at the same target, it all adds up. Oh, there's the KV-4. Right, T10 hurt. Uncomfortably close. KV-4 advancing to the south. 60 TP spotted advancing to the north. Friendly tank destroyers taking artillery fire. This is starting to get really close to the knuckle. Ooh, he knocked a telegraph pole over. All eyes are going to be on that falling telegraph pole. I'm on the edge of my seat here. I don't know about you. Where are they? Well, there's the T10. Oh, he's spotted. Not good, not good, not good, not good. Kill the T10. Shit. They've lost the T95. It's just Mr. Crow and his platoon mate in the Scorpion G. I don't think the Scorpion G got spotted, let's face it. He's a Scorpion G. If he'd been spotted, he'd be dead already. But Mr. Crow is gonna have to take a chance here and light targets up for him, or this game is as good as over. Oh, he's knocked another tree over. Well, they know he's coming. But what else are you going to do? Speed is of the essence here. Oh, there's the T10, hiding from the Scorpion G behind the wreck of the Batch Out 155. Smart move. Didn't do him any good. That's, well, now they're only outnumbered 5-2, so things are on the up and up. Keeps moving to avoid artillery fire while staying in the low ground on the opposite side of the road to avoid direct fire, and you see what he did there. While still spotted by the T10, headed to the north, and then when not spotted, doubled back. So right now, anybody on the enemy team paying attention to their map is thinking, that pesky little light tank just headed north. Well, that's not what he's doing. He's looking for that KV4. And possibly also the 60 TP. You never know your luck. Well, they're going to find the 60 TP. Bang, there he is. Not where they expected him to be. Scorpion G, finger on the trigger of the shotgun, takes him out. They've spotted the KV4. He's attempting to cap. Scorpion G will be lining up for a shot, but not just now. He's busy dodging artillery fire and setting himself up to assist Mr. Crow in finishing off this KV4. In the meantime, Mr. Crow resetting the cap. There's no way the KV4 is going to win by capping. Not unless he's joined or resurrected. Scorpion G, as soon as he was assured that he was no longer detected and wasn't going to die to artillery, lined it up and took the shot. They now have precisely 1 minute remaining in which to find and kill 3 enemy tanks. Then again, you could also argue that the enemy team now have less than 1 minute remaining to find and kill 2 enemy tanks, and they have the numbers, but, well, we've got Mr. Crow. And luckily for Mr. Crow, he's got Kostolomak in the Scorpion G. I can't help but get the impression that these two guys have worked together before. It's almost as if they do this for a living. Yep. Now, less than 30 seconds remaining, they must find and kill the enemy artillery. Where do you think he's going to be? Well, he'd better be where they think he is, because they've got 10 seconds to kill him. There he is. It's going to take 3 shots. There's 1. There's 2. Artillery fired and missed. Guns reloaded. Game over. It's a draw. So let's just see if we can tick all of the boxes here. Let's see. Tier 10 battle? Yep. Bottom tier tank? Yep. Didn't even fire his gun for the first third of the battle? Oh yeah. Managed to do over 4,000 damage? Hell yeah. Isn't that like double the amount of damage scored by the next highest scoring tier 10 tank on the team? Actually, I think you're going to find it's substantially more than double. Was any of that good enough to win? You must be new here. And on that bombshell, actually no, that's not it for the day. There's more. This is Lord Barnable in the Conway, but this isn't really about him. This final replay is about this guy. And to a lesser degree, it's about the lurver in chat, who doesn't really think too much of him. Not quite sure why. He keeps referring to him. Actually, he's had quite a lot to say about his entire team during the course of this battle. But he keeps referring to everybody in general, and this Rheinmetall Borsig in particular, as a debil. Now, I had to look this up. It turns out it's actually... well, it's actually a word in several languages. It's not particularly nice in any of them. In Polish, Czech and Albanian, it means moron or idiot. In Spanish, it means weak. I'm leaning with the Polish, Czech and Albanian translation, although it also has similar meanings in German and Danish. It's not English, that much I can tell you. I suspect he's not down here on purpose, although you can see why people would be questioning his intelligence. He's the last tank left alive on his team with 5 enemies. Technically, I suppose you could argue that last tank left alive in your team against 5 enemies, there's a Kolobanov's medal on the table. Although for that to happen, the enemy team would either have to sign a suicide pact or do something collectively incredibly stupid. And let's face the odds here. What are the chances of that happening? Except this is World of Tanks. So the idea is not completely preposterous. I mean, it's not entirely out of the question, is it? So, suicide pact or a collective act of unbelievable stupidity? Well, they're not capping. Oh wait, one of them's killed themselves. 1 down, 4 to go. I think we're leaning in the direction of a suicide pact after all. Although not necessarily, at least one of them appears to have a working brain, and after fruitless minutes spent searching the map for an undetected Rheinmetall Borsig, he's capping out. The Borsig, possibly out of boredom, possibly because he just likes the sound it makes, fires his gun. Or possibly he did it in an attempt to attract some attention. There's still only one enemy tank capping. There's all the time in the world for them to win by capping. There's still 4 minutes of the game left. How long do you think they're going to continue capping? Let's put it to the test. Whoever's in that cap circle, as long as he stays where he is, this game is won in less than a minute. Did anybody bring a pack of cards? Oh, careful, careful. Nearly. That was close. Wouldn't do to accidentally suicide at this point in the game. Although his teammates have been urging him to just end it, because at this point you're really only dragging the match out. He's doing it again. And lo and behold, suddenly the enemy team stopped capping. Hey you guys, I heard a shot. I think he's over here. I think at this point we've pretty much ruled out a suicide pact. So from here on in, it's going to require an act of collective stupidity so magnificent that it will go down in the annals of multiplayer gaming history. 2 down, 3 to go. Send more tanks. At this point the enemy team can still win by capping. They've got more than enough time to win by capping, even if only one of them was doing it. Who thinks they're going to win by capping? Show of hands. Any takers? Well, nobody. Have you no faith in your fellow man? Do you really have such a low opinion of the intelligence of World of Tanks players that you think this Rheinmetall Borsig, who's stuck half in, half out of the water, is actually going to win this game and earn himself a Kolobanov's medal? Purely down to the rank stupidity of the surviving enemy tanks. Do you really think that? Do you honestly have such a low opinion of your fellow World of Tanks players that you think that is even possible? 2 minutes of the game remaining. Let's see. Oh, here comes contestant number 3. Do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you? Oh, and contestant number 4. Feels a bit luckier than contestant number 3. And he's dead too. Contestant number 3 still having a really good think about it. Yeah, you make sure this Rheinmetall Borsig has plenty of time to reload his gun before you commit to anything seriously stupid. And then plot twist. Here comes contestant number 5. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for him either. Right, back to contestant number 3. Now, remember, it's very important at this point that you make absolutely sure that this Rheinmetall Borsig has got all the time in the world to reload his gun before you commit to anything stupid. No, don't look at the cap circle. It's far too late for that, sunshine. You had your chance earlier, and you blew it. You talked the talk, no cap, kill all, they said. Well, now you've got to walk the walk. I think it's fairly safe to assume that he's reloaded by now. One way or another, we're going to have a result within 30 seconds. So, draw or Kolobanov's medal for the Rheinmetall Borsig. Place your bets, because it's all going to come down to whether or not that P-44 Pantera can find both his brains and his balls at the same time. And judging by his current performance, I'm heavily leaning in favour of either a draw or a Kolobanov's medal for the Rheinmetall Borsig. 5 seconds to go. Here he comes. And it's a Kolobanov's medal for the Rheinmetall Borsig. And he's even picked himself up a new fan in chat. And on that bombshell, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.